This video will walk you through setting up an Ubuntu virtual machine using VirtualBox. We'll also set up Git and GitHub, Python and PIP, NodeJS with NPM, and Visual Studio. This is the perfect VM for a full stack developer. If you find this video helpful, please be sure to like and subscribe. All right, so the first thing we need to do is download the VirtualBox installer and get it installed. Since I'm on Windows 11, I'm going to download the Windows hosts. And then we're also going to download the VirtualBox guest editions. This is just a separate ISO that helps give us a little, better video resolution, better mouse functionality, lets us copy and paste between the guest and the host machines. And then finally, we're going to download Ubuntu version 24. Now, I'm not going to record the next finish for installing VirtualBox, but go ahead and get that installed and then move on to the next step here for setting up our virtual machine. All right, with VirtualBox installed, go ahead and click on New and give your virtual machine a name. I'm just going to do Ubuntu Dev. Then we need to choose that ISO image of that Ubuntu that we installed a moment ago. And because we're doing the unintended install, we need to go ahead and define a few things here. So I'm going to go ahead and set my name and password and a host name with something other than the defaults. And then that guest editions, let's go ahead and check on that and then choose the ISO for that as well. So let's go ahead and click on other here and choose that VBox guest editions. And then on hardware, this is really up to you. I'm going to go with 25% of my actual host machine. So 16 gigs of RAM and 8 cores on the CPU. And then for the hard disk, we have two different options. We can pre-allocate or not, but I'm going to go ahead and make a 120 gig pre-allocated, which means that it's going to use all of that space from the get-go. The benefit here is that it does have some increased speed, and we've got plenty of hard drive space, so it's really not a big deal here. So right now, VirtualBox is preparing our virtual machine with the hardware allocations that we just set up and the ISO, along with the hard disk. So let's go ahead and let this finish up here. And then we can move on to the next part will be the unattended install. So the machine's just going to kind of power cycle a few times, run through an install portion, and then we'll finally be at the login screen where we can type in our password. So this whole process to set up the virtual machine, let it do the unattended install up until the point of me actually being at the login screen, I believe took about 14 or 15 minutes. So I'm just going to fast forward the clip here just to save you from sitting up for 14 minutes watching a loading screen and power cycles and all that fun stuff. And then right here is where the unattended installation actually failed for me. I did this twice and it failed at the same part. Just as it detected a problem. What do you want to do? Just hit cancel, power down the virtual machine, and then turn it on and off again in good old IT terms.
Hello, IT. Have you tried turning it off and on again?
So let's go and start this back up here. Let it run through its course. VirtualBox is loading up. Let's get the guy maximized for you. And then we should be at the login screen next. All right, and so now we are at the post-install portion, which is just a few more next finish. You can share if you want to here. Next, finish. Great, so with the boring part out of the way, now we can dig into the fun part. We'll install Git with GitHub, NodeJS with NPM package manager, Python with PIP, and then finally Visual Studio Code so that we have a nice Ubuntu virtual machine ready to go for our full stack development. Oh, I almost forgot. I need to go into my video or display and change the video memory to max so that I can actually do my my resolution that I wanted to here. All right, and then we'll go and get signed back in and we'll launch a terminal to begin updating everything. So we'll start that with sudo apt update, type in our password, And then we'll do sudo apt upgrade, and we're going to hit yes. And this is just going to ensure that our system is running all of the latest everything. That way it's as stable as possible. Again, I'm going to kind of fast forward this here just so you're not standing there waiting for things to progress on my side. And once this finishes, we're going to go ahead and install Git. So let's go ahead and run sudo apt install Git. We'll hit yes just to confirm we want to do it, and then it's going to progress through. And we can double check that we have it installed by running the git-version here. All right, next up, let's go ahead and set our username and password. So git config global user.name. For me, it's going to be Vince, and then git config global user.email will be my email address associated with my GitHub account. Now with Git successfully installed and our global username and password set up, we can go ahead and continue to sync this up with our GitHub account. And the easiest way to do that is to go ahead and just try to clone down a repository from your GitHub. So I've got one here that I created for this tutorial. So we've got git clone. I'm going to paste that URL, at which point I'm going to type in my GitHub username and password. And then we're going to actually run into a problem because GitHub basically stopped the method of using your password for this portion and changed it to tokens. So we're going to dig into that part next and generate an access token that will be used for our terminal here. So I've gone ahead and signed in to my GitHub account, and then I'm going to click on my avatar up at the top right hand corner, and then going to, let's go ahead and go to settings, and we're going to click on account, and then down here at the bottom, next on to developer settings, and then personal access tokens. Let's go ahead and click on that guy right there, and then tokens classic. And now we're going to click to generate a new access token, and then finally generate new token classic for general use. I'm just going to go ahead and put here my Ubuntu dev. That way I know that it's used for that. I'm going to set the expiration to never. Do whatever you feel is best for security purposes. And then as far as the scopes, I'm going to just click on repo, and then going to scroll down and click on generate token, and then copy this guy because we're going to use it to sign in here through the terminal. So with the terminal pulled back up, let's go ahead and do a git clone, and we're going to type in the username that for our GitHub account, and this time, instead of typing the password, we're going to paste in that personal access token that we just generated. And now we can go ahead and check the git config. Yeah, that's the correct account. And let's go ahead and cd into that Ubuntu dev GitHub repository. And then we can, I didn't want to do that, git branch and verify that, yeah, we're on the main branch from our GitHub repository. All right, so next up on our list is to install NodeJS and the NPM package manager. So I'm just going to launch a new terminal here. Let me make that a little bit bigger. We're going to do sudo apt get node.js. Go ahead and type in the password. What did I do here? Sudo apt install node.js. Prompt Y for yes. And then we can check our version, node-v, and see we're running 18.19.1. However, if we do npm-v, we'll see that it's not installed. So let's go ahead and sudo apt install npm. We'll hit Y for yes. And this is going to go ahead and proceed and install the Node package manager to be paired with our Node.js. Now this install actually does take a moment. So again, I'm going to fast forward this for you guys. And then now we can check to verify npm-v. We'll see we're running 9.2.0. Next, we can verify that npm is running properly by going into that Ubuntu dev directory, GitHub repository that we pulled down earlier. So it's going to go into desktop and then Ubuntu dev, and we're just going to run npm init and provide some data here. So let's go ahead and we'll use the defaults for package name, and same with the version, the description. We'll do test. No, we won't. Let's just skip through. Entry point, that's fine. And then we'll test command, we'll just leave blank. Get repositories already set to where we want to go. Keywords, fine. Let's just go ahead and say, give an author. And okay. So now we have a package JSON file that's been generated by NPM, verifying that it installed and works properly. And our next step here is to install Python. It looks like the current version, as of when I'm making this video, is 3.13. So let's go ahead and launch a new terminal, and we're just going to use sudo apt install python 3. All right, and after that installs, we can go ahead and install pip. So the command for that will be sudo apt install python 3-pip. Y to continue. And then after this finishes, we will have successfully installed Python 3 along with the pip package manager. Our next step is to install Visual Studio Code. So the first thing you need to do is download the deb file and then open up, that's going to be in our downloads, just to make it a little bit easier. So we don't have to type that out. It's just, I'm going to do rename and then copy the whole file name here. And then inside of our terminal, let's make sure we're in the downloads folder here. Yep, perfect. So now we can run the command sudo apt install period / and then we paste that file name. That way it's installing the package from that local file that we downloaded. This does take a moment here, progressing 60%. All right, now I did get an error down here at the bottom about that it couldn't be used by apt user. That's okay. It actually does function just fine. We can verify that with the code period in the terminal, which is going to, of course, launch Visual Studio Code, which will be up and ready for us to use. All right, so there you have it. We have a virtual machine set up with Python, Node.js, GitHub, and Visual Studio, and it's ready to be used. I just want to say thank you guys for hanging out. If you made it to the very end here, means a lot to me. I'd love to hear your feedback as I make these videos. And I'm going to close with this quote here. This is by Alan Kay, a Turing Award winner. It says, "Every technology really needs to be shipped with a special manual, not how to use it, but why, when, and for what." So think on that as you develop your next documentation for any application you're creating. Talk to you guys next time. Thanks. Oh yeah, like the video if you can. If you liked it, like it. If you didn't, I guess don't. And if you want to see more of this content, be sure to subscribe.